The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Well, we are so glad today to be bringing you this presentation on Course 600. Course 600 is a presentation skills course for, we title it as it's for M&A professionals, but this is a presentation skill course that could just be for anybody who is looking to improve on their ability to deliver content, and that content not just in an open setting, but maybe in a digital environment, such as what we're doing here now. But by attending this presentation, this course, the attendee is going to learn how to write and present seminars, how to write and present workshops. And for the M&A source, IBBA, hopefully we find some people who can write and develop courses as well as present courses. There is something that is true for individuals who have the knowledge of information, and possibly those individuals who can deliver. Sometimes it's not necessarily the same person, but it's amazing what we have found within the scope of the organization's membership over the years, that there are people hidden who are very, very talented and know a lot that should be presented to other people, and they're very talented in their ability to deliver. And this type of a course is where we can uncover that type of information. And by attending this course, the objective is to overcome nervousness when speaking in front of a group, or even a video camera, a web camera. If you think about speaking in front of someone and your hands become sweaty or your heart starts to race and you just cannot fathom being in front of a group, you've got to find yourself in an environment where somebody helps take you through getting out from underneath that fright. And so this is the type of course that can help you get there. Writing and designing information is a challenge. And how do you do that in a way that, especially for adults, gets their attention? How can you present information to adults that can get their attention? It's not as simple as just standing up and saying something. You have to develop that information in a way that gets their attention and keeps them focused. You think about any of the courses that you may have taken within the IBBA M&A source, or maybe it's a presentation you were sitting in college. Or let's just go to the a simple one that a lot of people find themselves in. Think about your place of worship. You're sitting in a service at a church, and you have somebody presenting. What is it in any of those cases that's causing you to be interested and keep your attention, and you don't find yourself dozing off? I mean, there is something going on there. Well, that presenter has some skills. They've learned what you can learn by coming to this course. There are 6 important facilitation skills that you have to know when delivering information. You will learn that by being in this course. How about the use of humor? Have you ever been in a presentation where the joke just wasn't at the right time? Or better yet, you've been in a presentation where it was a monotone. The person kept saying the content, I mean, very technical. It just flows right across, but you find yourself not even listening because it just feels like you're in a doctor's office in a white area, and there you have no color. I mean, you've got to add some color and contrast to your presentation. Where do you bring humor in, and how do you keep your people's attention with that? How about designing professional visual aids? You know, PowerPoint can be a killer, and unfortunately, for most people who deliver, they really depend heavily on the PowerPoint, even to the extent that they read exactly what's on that PowerPoint. That's not the best way to deliver a presentation. You have to know your information well enough so that the visual aid that's there, the PowerPoint bullets, are simply supporting what's being said. Now, with that being the case, there are plenty of PowerPoint presentations that are used for to leave behind information. And you put a lot of detail there. The problem with too much detail, your audience is caught looking at that and not paying attention to the presentation. So this course will help understand how do you go about developing that type of information. And how about webinars? You're on one now. How about Skype, Zoom, or other remote presentations? GoToMeeting, which is how we're delivering this today in the webinar environment. How do you handle dealing with those issues? And there is something that happens when you're, especially if you are in a visual exchange in a webinar or a Skype or a Zoom, meaning you've got your camera on, you're trying to speak with somebody, and it may be that you're trying to speak with an important client, or maybe you're holding a meeting and you're trying to get some good information across, because coming to this, you should be able to hit the ground running. It should provide value to you when you get back in your office. So it's not just about how can you get in front of one big gigantic group, it's how can you make your practice more successful and make you more successful. So when you think about webinars and Skype, how do you learn to look at your client? How can they feel as though you're really there with them and it's them they're looking at? That eye contact has a lot to do with that. You learn you can't look at the screen. You look at the camera. And this course will help you understand how to keep that attention so that the audience on the other side of that technical or that electronic delivery will have the feeling as though you're looking right at them. This helps you get there. And then there's just so much more that you're going to learn by being a part of this. When you think about designing and planning a program, you think about the civic groups that you're in front of, workshops that you're a part of. Think about the conferences for the M&A Source, IBBA. You're in those workshops and you're hoping to gather very important information, something that's really going to help you, captures your attention, and you're sitting inside of that and all you can do is think about how fast can I get out of this thing? Well, the delivery of that has probably not been structured to keep your attention, but yet you've probably been in some of those where it just seemed like it went way too fast. You wanted more. Well, that's the type of presentation you need to learn how to produce. That's what you're going to do by being a part of this. You'll learn how to pace the program, how to keep the audience learning and keeping them engaged. And dependent upon how long your program may be or your presentation may be, it may be necessary to have it cut up into pieces. So how do you take breaks at the right time? That little humor thing that was mentioned in the prior slide, how do you take that and drop that in at a point where it seems like, well, does it even belong there? But it needs to belong there because you have gauged your audience and you know what needs to occur, or better yet, you've timed out how your delivery is going to happen and you just know, hey, I've been way too long on this part of it and I need to throw a little something in to break it up. Designing, planning, writing this type of material, you have to go through a process that teaches you how to do that. That's what you will learn by being here. I mentioned earlier, there are 6 effective presentation delivery skills, and you have to know how to frame your presentation. How do you gauge the types of questions that should go in so you can control the delivery? How do you get feedback? What type of examples do you give? When and how do you go through a summary of everything you've tried to deliver? Now, obviously, if you're delivering something that's 30 minutes or an hour, it's much different than if it's a 4-hour course or a 8-hour course. So what you learn here is how can you get in front of people and capture their attention, and at the same time you will learn how do I do that but create what I am creating so that it will be effective for that 30-minute sequence or for that hour sequence. And when you stand up in front of somebody, have you ever stood up and thought about standing up in front of them and you just know you're going to go gridlock? Or better yet, how many presentations have you sat through where every other word was or you know that there's 2 things that a lot of people will do. They will say, they will use the word or they will use the word you know. And they will do that because it's a time filler. They're trying to think about that next thing, and their initial reaction is to fill the void while their mind is engaging. You learn in this course how to deal with that. And what's even more important is how do you do it in a way that helps give you feedback? So part of this is going to be that, how will you get feedback to see yourself in action? And when you think about facilitation skills, and especially if you think about our conferences, you've got the workshop, you have actual classroom time with courses, and then you have to think about, am I being the actual presenter, or am I going to be a moderator? There's a difference. If you're a moderator, you are going to be there equipping other people to present. So you are controlling the delivery, maybe between 3, 4, or more people who are a panel, and you are controlling how that gets delivered, providing feedback between the audience. How in the world do you do that? How can you read what the next thing is? How do you keep the flow going? Because it can bog down when you have multiple people. Well, the facilitator helps keep that process underway. And you just in the ability to deliver your own presentation. And that between those, if you come out of this course knowing how to develop and present and facilitate, think about the changes it'll make in your confidence to get up in front of people. Presentation aids, you got to be able to design PowerPoint friendly presentations. Now there are other types of products that can be used to give presentations. There are products though that only work in an internet environment. Then there are products that only really work well in a localized environment. Now PowerPoint, it just happens to be the leader. It's not the only one. It's the one that's the most used, which is how we will go about doing most of the presentation training in this course. You can then port that information over to any other delivery mechanism. So when we say design professional PowerPoints, use PowerPoint visuals correctly, or know when and how to use these visual aids, yes, we will focus in on the delivery of PowerPoint, but anything you will learn here will go directly over to any other program that you would be wanting to use. When you get in front of a group, isn't it difficult sometimes to deal with those butterflies? Isn't that difficult? Now, how in the world do you deal with that? How do you deal with these butterflies? It makes you queasy. You don't know what to say next. Matter of fact, if you get that way even before you get up, it's not necessarily a negative. You can feel a little butterfly or queasy. It makes you get on point. It makes you think about what you're supposed to do. I can tell you right now that in doing presentations, you should never get to the point where you are so confident that you do not believe you have to prepare. Because if you don't have to prepare, then something's going to be missed. You should always prepare no matter how well you know the material. And that means you may get a little butterfly feel. That's okay. How do you handle problem participants? Look at this guy right here. Now, who in the world would want that guy in their room? Don't you? He looks like he could be a problem, right? Well, how do you deal with those problem participants? How do you increase participation? How do you use humor in those presentations? Just think about this picture that you're seeing right now. Something is going well in there. There's obviously some humor. There's probably some interaction that's happening. There's some attention. When you can feel the energy in a room, that is what makes it exciting for people. How do you do all of these things? How can you make your class at the end of the day, or a group at the end of the presentation, say, this was well worth it, this is what will be learned? Just in the speaker training presentation side, how do you get more comfortable in front of a group, in front of the video camera, as we just said? How in the world do you do that? And very important for the training here is, how can you get comfortable to know you could be the one at the IBBA or M&A Source Conference? We're looking for people in the group to be a part of this going forward. Do you want to be one of the ones that could deliver? Do you think that you could possibly be one? Or better yet, are you willing to do that? This is where we can begin to look for those individuals. As I said at the earlier part when we began, there are those individuals who are very good at creating content and others who are very good at doing delivery. Sometimes you find those who can do both. And so it takes a team. It takes a team to do this. So the parties who may deliver may not be the ones who can prepare, but you could probably do one or both of those. Figure that out. Come and be a part of this. You got to practice your presentations at this thing. So when this conference is going on, then this course is being delivered, there will be at least 2 opportunities to deliver your presentation. You'll do that for the attendees, your classmates that are there, and you will be videoed during that. Now that video is not being shown on YouTube or anywhere like that. This is just for internal. So you will find out what it's like to really do a delivery. And I know if you already feel a little concerned, got that scared feeling about even presenting, that you would think there's no way. This is a great way in a very controlled environment to let your hair down, if you may, and just be a part of the process with other people who are trying to do the same thing you are. And you can see here, John Howe, this was his time to learn how to do these presentations. He was there just to learn. And he's got people out in the audience in front of him, other individuals just like him. And what happened here is he was videoed, and ultimately the videos were shown back to himself and the other classmates in there. And everybody was able to look and say, here's what you could have done better. He could see it. It made such a difference in his ability that he ultimately chose to become an instructor. We identified with his delivery that he was a hidden talent. Now we know he already knew he was talented. We all knew that. I mean, John's a phenomenal in the industry, but doing delivery, was that what he thought his thing was? Not necessarily. And he couldn't be with us today. You know how business intermediaries are. He had some very important closing issues that he was addressing, and he had to deal with that. He was supposed to be here, but he sent this slide over. And what his deal was that he was trying to learn how to just be better overall at making a presentation. And he wanted to learn the methodologies. How in the world do I conduct a seminar? How do I make public presentations? How am I going to go about doing webinars and meeting with prospective clients? You think about this, what he pointed out there with a prospective client, even down to the simplest part of that, which is what I mentioned at the beginning. How can you conduct a presentation with somebody on the opposite end of a technology delivery, meaning a delivery like this? If you're going to be working with a client, it may be you want it more personal, so you want the video to be going. You've got to be able to be conducting that with that client in a way they feel like you are there with them. And you've got to make them feel as though it's almost as though they can reach across the desk and tap you. You can learn those things and get the confidence to be able to deliver that way. Public speaking can be a challenge, but once you come to something like this, it enhances your ability. And more so, it enhances your confidence to be the type of person who can get up in front of a group and actually do this type of delivery. And John was a perfect example. He's spoken in many other places, but he never thought that getting up in front and delivering a class is what he would do. And he has since taking this course. He has developed an actual course delivery that was 4 hours. He's done other presentations, and it came out of what was discovered during this. That doesn't mean that that's what you will do. We want to make sure that you're empowered to become more capable. But once you are there, maybe it happens that you want to do something like that, and it just adds back to the organization. It adds to the profession, and the hidden talent that's in this organization can make it better for other people. Remember, when you were getting involved, you needed somebody to give you guidance. You could be that one just by giving presentations and learning this material who could do that. But if the only thing you learn, you come out with is exactly how to give your own presentation in your practice, that's perfectly fine too. It's perfectly fine too. Another individual that came through the course is Bill Loftus, and Bill learned a lot. I think Bill is on with us. Bill, or could you give us your input on how you feel?
Yeah, Monty, thank you. That picture of me, that looks really good. I'm going to try to get a new one created with a little bit less of that Arctic blonde hair, a little bit more dark hair. But time doesn't seem to respect any of us. It marches along, and I've discovered that over the course of time and years of teaching and public speaking, that some folks just tend to go along through their own natural abilities, and I suppose I did it that way for a long time. Pat McDonald said I had to go to the course 600, and I have to admit I was a little bit reluctant to go, but at the end it was really an outstanding experience. I think there are so many things that all of us can learn about how adults learn. For instance, I discovered that the average attention span for an adult and listening to just a lecture will span about 7 minutes. It's amazing that it ties exactly to the amount of TV time between commercials. So adults have trained themselves to hold their attention for 7 minutes, and if you are going to go beyond 7 minutes with a dialogue, you better find a way to break it up somehow. They'll just simply lose their attention. I also discovered that if you don't capture the attention of the people in the first 30 seconds or so, you're not going to have their attention through the rest of the program. So it's relatively important, not even relatively important, it's vitally important to capture that attention right out of the chute. And so whatever you can do that will grab them. For instance, I taught a Sunday school class not too long ago. The title of the class was "Your Butts Are Too Big." And most of the folks were stepped back, they didn't know what I was talking about. I was simply talking about you could go ahead and you could achieve this, but you don't because you got an excuse. I was using butts as an excuse, but it got people interested, and I found some of the skills that I learned in that class I apply all the time. I do get a chance to teach a Sunday school class, and often there'll be questions that are beyond my theological ability. So I learned in this class how to make sure that I don't have to bear the brunt of all that knowledge. So I might, when a question is asked, I might turn to somebody else in the classroom and say, how would you answer that class? And it gives me a chance to formulate my own thoughts. But lots of little skills you can discover in this that are really, really helpful. I will mention a couple of other things that I've benefited from by virtue of this class. I've taught in a number of different settings, and sometimes people hear you and they like how you sound, they like your presentation style, and so you get invited to speak at other places. I attribute this class to a speaking engagement I'll have later this month at the Michigan CPA Association. I'll be teaching a 2-hour course with those good folks, and they get continuing education credit for it, and it's always helpful to have those in the profession who value your thought process. And I don't want to dominate this thing, but I'll just point out a couple of other things that have been important to me. First of all, a lot of times we're presenting really meaningful information. It can be technical information, it can be important information that business owners need to understand, it can be essential information that intermediaries need to know and grasp. But if it's really, really good information, it deserves outstanding presentation approaches. And I think, as John Howe said in his testimonial, if there's a standard, repeatable methodology for putting these kinds of courses together, you just ought to embrace it. So I cannot stress enough how valuable this thing has been to me. And I also think that the audience is spending money to come and listen to us speak. We have a duty. The speaker has a bit of a duty to deliver as much professionalism as possible. And this class will certainly enhance that professionalism. So I'll let you go, Monty, and I'll put myself back on mute.
I have a quick question. Don't do that yet.
All right.
You've been in the profession quite some time. Your picture shows that, and you've had great success. Now, my question would be, as somebody who'd been in the profession for quite some time, you've obviously had a lot of opportunity to speak, and whether it be with clients or at an association. So as you came to this course, you probably came into the course already having experience, and so there's a couple of things. One that I'm wondering, did the course give you some insight on how to improve on where you probably already felt you were going well anyway? So did it give you the ability to improve? And the other thing is, did it help you understand how to take technical information and maybe make it more layman? Your ability to deliver something in a way that makes people understand and pull away from those technical components. Did either one of those apply to you?
They both apply. You can always improve your skills. If you're not trying to improve your skills, you're probably either retired and not interested in your profession any longer, or you're dead. But most of us want to keep getting better. So I discovered that I tend to drone on, and it's really important to break up the content with exercises. It's not just learning how to do exercises. I think Janet Nikeza taught me some time ago that exercises are not just a way to break up the material. They're a real, true, honest to goodness way people learn. So if you can present the material and then let the people apply it in the setting, then all of a sudden you've taken a learning environment that's just pure lecture and turned it into something that's proactive for the participants. And some of those skills are just absolutely indispensable. Yeah, I say it again, if you've got good material to present, that material deserves outstanding teaching techniques to adults in particular, and adults learn differently. And you can we've all been in that situation in a classroom where the instructor's going to do an exercise, and I moan too, but at the end of the day, those exercises, if they're well constructed and fit nicely with the material that's been prepared, all of a sudden you've taken it from just education in the air into something that they can apply to their hearts and apply to their practice. Now all of a sudden you're giving something of real value. These folks have spent money to come and listen to your courses, and hopefully you're delivering things to them that they'll be able to take back and monetize.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So,
well,
I don't know if I answer your question as thoroughly as I should have, but
No, you did. You did. I want everybody here that's listening to this now and that maybe listen to it in the recording, I want them to understand that this is beneficial for a beginning person. It's beneficial for somebody who is just wondering, can they even do this? They have a fright. But it's extremely beneficial for people who've already been presenting and they believe they've got that down. And anybody that has ever gone through this, we're talking about the last time this was delivered, that we're talking about 10 years ago. Anybody that's come through this, regardless of the amount of experience they have, both as an intermediary or as a speaker, they learn that when they get here that there's an enhancement. And because of the way this is delivered and your classmates that you're with, you will absolutely come out being better off than when you came in on how to deliver. The teaching mechanism and the methodologies here will help no matter who you are. It is worth every bit of it. So now we get into thinking about the value that comes. Well, what kind of cost comes with getting the value? Well, course number 600, you'll get 24 credit hours. And those 2,400 credit hours will come with a cost of $750 compared to getting the same credit hours with taking individual courses. It would cost over 2,400. So just to get the credit hours for your credentials, that's $750. This is NASBA approved, so there can be continuing education for other professionals for taking this course. But if you come to this course, you'll have is a $750. It's not a cost. If you look at $750, that's just a cost. It's not an expense center. It's an investment. How much is it worth investing in yourself? How much is it worth enhancing your ability to communicate with people and enhancing your ability to get that next deal? And as Bill said, you may have an opportunity to speak in front of a group simply because of the skills that you picked up by attending this. That's an example of what he gave us on what will happen with him, with the CPA group he's going to be presenting to. That could be you. How much is a $750 investment worth? I look at $750 and I realize I eat that up easily just in what I'm paying my cable company to have access to cable and internet service. Or I look at my cell phone and figure out how fast I'm eating that up just so I can communicate with people on the phone. And how many multiples do we get back by enhancing our ability to deliver? And that's why you're a part of this organization. It's why it's worth spending the money to be in membership fees. It's why you get educated. But this is one that's so uniquely different. It will make a difference in everything about what you do in your communication with the outside world, and communication is heavily the key to success. If you can't communicate, it's very difficult to be successful. You've got to communicate with other people. So for alumni who've come down this pike, before alumni, you have an opportunity also, $200 alumni special. And for those of you who are thinking about the $750, why should you pay $750? Well, these alumni have already done that. But if they can come back, they come back and they can go through the entire training course again and be a part of the entire process. And so does the skill enhancement, is that a part of what you feel like you need? If you've been down the pike before and you've been through this, you get a special deal. We'd like to see everybody who could possibly come. Because regardless of who you are, regardless of what you know, regardless of your experience, and yes, regardless if you've been in this course before, you learn something different. So coming back, you will just walk out even better than the first time you came through. Now, when is this going to occur? Course number 600 is going to be offered in August. It's August 17th through the 19th of this year, 2018. That is Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And on Friday and Saturday, it'll be a full day of 8 to 5. And we cut out on Sunday at 3 to give people an opportunity to get to the airport and fly back out. It's going to be in Kennesaw, Georgia, at Kennesaw State University at the Coles College, is where we will be in the Education Center. It's a great environment to learn in. You're at a university setting. Even the feel of what you're doing, it feels education. You want to walk into an environment where you feel like you're being educated, you're coming out, you're better off. You're going to be in that environment. And so what better place to come and enhance who you are than at the college level? So when we think about getting there, is August 17th, 19th, is that on your calendar? Write it down now. Go ahead and put that on your calendar right now. That's the date, and you will make contact with the source office, IBBA offices, and let's go ahead and get prepared to be a part of the process, and write down in your scheduler, Kennesaw State University. Go ahead and put that down. There's nobody, you should come off this today with the calendar prepared, location prepared. You are already ready. And if maybe that time is your vacation time, what better place to take vacation than Kennesaw, Georgia, right? Set your vacation time around that. Either side of the course, you can have fun, and then you'll come in here and learn a lot at the same time. Well, hopefully, the presentation has given you a lot of good information. We do want to take any questions if anybody does have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? And Laura, are you going to take those in? Are you going to open up the microphone? How are you going to handle that, Laura?
So we've got a couple questions. The first one is, are there any accommodations close by? And we do have numerous hotels available. If you go to masource.org, you can go to Course 600, and we have a whole travel page set up. So you can go there and see all the different hotel options. We've got some really great rates in the area. Another question we have is about the instructor for the course, and just tell us a little bit about who they're going to be learning from.
There will be several of us. Pat McDonald, I know, is lining up the final. Pat McDonald will be there. Myself will be there. Pat, I think you're on. If you could open your mic up and give us the insight on who is lined up at this point.
Well, Wayne Coleman, who is the main facilitator, he's the instructor that taught the Train the Trainer and the Speakers Training Camp with IVBA, so some of those people may be familiar with him. He is our main facilitator, and then Monty Walker and I will be the extra facilitators in the taping rooms, and then we have another facilitator who's coming in as a backup facilitator who will be taping the alumni. So we will have 4 of us there to help facilitate teaching.
Great. So we're also wondering about the seats in the course. There are still seats open. It is filling up. We do have to limit the seats because we want to make sure that everyone, has a great experience and gets plenty of time with our wonderful instructors. So if you are considering signing up, make sure to check out that registration, which you can do online through M&A Source.
Right. The seating is limited because we can only have up to 30 attendees that are taking it for the first time and 15 alumni. because we break you into separate rooms for taping. We help you learn how to present in a boardroom, like you're presenting to a board of directors, present in a classroom style like you would teach at a conference. We also have you present in a lunchroom style like you would to a civic Kiwanis Rotary type group. We can only do 10 people taping at a time, so we're limited to 30 attendees. So if you're planning on coming, get your registration in soon.
I believe Laura, I saw one of the messages come through that they wanted a phone number to
Yes.
be able to speak about the course directly. And on the screen now, before you is the phone number for Pat McDonald. She is the driving force behind this course, and she will have all of the great information that you need. Be prepared when you call Pat. If she calls you back and tells you this is what you need to do, your best answer is just to say, yes, I will do that. Don't try to argue the point. So when she gives you information, it's straight up, and if she asks you to do something, she knows that you're the right one for it. So just be ready for that.
I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, Monty?
Do
we have any other questions, Laura?
Well, we will have this presentation available online. If you would like to watch it again, we can also make the PDFs of the PowerPoint available online if you would like to just, kind of look over them one more time before deciding whether to sign up. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Pat. You can reach out to the MA Source Education or myself, Laura Wright, as well. And we're happy to get you those answers that you need.
Great. We appreciate everybody being a part of this today, and we look forward to having a full course in August.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monty.
Thank you, Monty.